As you may know, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends breastfeeding if possible. Now, despite how natural breastfeeding is, it's not always so easy. In fact, a lot of moms experience pain from sore nipples when they start. But don't give up, because lactation consultant Beverly Solo tells us learning the right technique can get rid of the pain.
Pain in breastfeeding is an indication that something is not right. Now, it's not just if it's painful you're doing something wrong, because this is learned and you're not an expert in the beginning and you have to figure it out. But if a baby is latched on well and sucking properly, it should not be painful.
So, Beverly teaches moms and babies the proper breastfeeding techniques.
An important thing to know about any baby's mouth is that it needs to be open really wide, maybe wider than that, to latch on well.
And once baby opens wide, Beverly uses a diagram to show good latch.
And this is a bit counterintuitive, because if the baby is in the right place to latch on well, it actually looks like the mother's nipple is going to go up the baby's nose. You would think that you would start with the mouth centered, but really you want to touch the lower lip about an inch from the tip of the nipple, so that the nipple just clears the top lip.
I wish that I had known you when she was 3 weeks old, because we were nursing and it was really painful.
If moms are comfortable nursing, they're more likely to stick with it, and that has health benefits for babies.
It's perfect nutrition at a time when perfect nutrition is really important.
So Beverly, you were coaching these moms at a New York City store called the Upper Breast Side. How cute is that? It's nice to maintain a little sense of humor in all of this, you know.
Absolutely.
I know that new moms start nursing right in the hospital when they choose to breastfeed, as soon as their babies are born. But when does mom's milk actually come in?
The mature milk typically comes in anywhere from day 2 to day 5, sometimes longer, but for most people early on. And before the mature milk comes in, there's colostrum in the breast, and that's a very concentrated first milk that is usually enough for most babies, and it's chock full of antibodies.
Yeah, it's good stuff. We want the babies to get that. And speaking of good stuff, I have to comment that Rakesh is busily breastfeeding with Gita right now. That's why he's so quiet. He was talking quite a bit earlier, but now he's breastfeeding and very, very comfortable. How do you know when your milk is in?
Most women find that the breasts fill, get denser and heavier. Hopefully they don't get painfully engorged. Some women do experience that. But the breasts fill up and there's a larger volume of milk, and the milk usually gets whiter in color.
Yeah, it's very important for the baby to get enough to eat. I mean, that's the concern moms always have, you know, is my baby getting enough? How do you know if your baby's getting enough food?
Well, there are a number of things to observe, and it's important to look at all of them, at the whole picture. Babies need to feed frequently enough, usually at least 8 times a day. They need to feed effectively with frequent swallowing, not just sucking. They need to appear satisfied after breastfeeding and not be looking for something else to suck on. Usually the breast softens. There are lots of pees and poops, and finally weight gain, which is something the pediatrician would do.
Parents will often, especially new moms, start counting. You know, they want to know, like, how many diapers should be wet? How much poop should I be looking for? Is there a guideline for that?
Well, it increases with every day after birth, and usually in terms of wet diapers, 1 more than the number of days old. So on day 2, 3 wet diapers, and so on.
Up to?
Usually around 6, sometimes more.
Yeah.
A day.
Stephen, one of the concerns that I've seen new moms come to me with is my baby's dehydrated.
Right.
You know,
right.
How do we know when a baby's
dehydrated?
dehydrated?
Well, the first thing you'll see is the baby will have fewer wet diapers, so the baby is making less urine. The second thing you may see is that the baby may have lost some weight if you're weighing the baby, and then the eyes may be fallen back or a little sunken, and the fontanelle, the soft spot up there, will be a little depressed. All those, and the mucous membranes in the mouth will be a little dry. Those are indications the baby is getting a little dehydrated.
And if you see any of those kinds of signs in your newborn, what should you do?
really important to talk to your pediatrician. The pediatrician will tell you about giving some extra fluids, electrolyte solution we call it, but probably will see the baby because there's usually a reason why that's taken place, and they'll want to know why that has taken place.
A big concern moms have also, Beverly, is the production of milk, you know, making enough milk for the baby. Is there anything they can do to increase production of milk?
Nurse early and often, and the more milk that's taken out of the breast, the more milk the breasts make. And usually that is driven by the baby if the baby's feeding well, so early and often.
What about what mom should be eating? Are there any special rules for mom's nutrition when she's breastfeeding?
Good nutrition for the mother. Usually breast milk is going to be high quality no matter what the mother eats, but the mother needs to eat a good balanced diet for her own health.
Yeah, and eat consistently and not get too run down, because you know you can get run down really easy. And Wendy, sometimes moms get an infection in their breast called mastitis.
Right.
Talk to us about what that is and what do we do about it?
Mastitis is an infection in the breast. Usually it's characterized by the breast being more firm than usual, more tender, and mom may also have a fever. The mom really does need to call her OB/GYN because that needs to be treated, usually with antibiotics. She can breastfeed during the treatment.
And that, I think, throws a lot of women. It's like, you know, I have an infection in my breast. Why would I let my baby breastfeed? Won't they get the infection too?
No, and actually the antibiotics that we prescribe are safe to take during breastfeeding also. But really, mom will pass on the antibiotics to the baby and the baby will be fine.
What about pumping the breast? Is that something that women should routinely do just to get more milk or to store?
Not routinely. I recommend that women pump if their babies are not getting enough at the breast, or if they do need to increase their milk supply and the baby isn't doing that for them.
Mm-hmm. Do any of you guys pump? All of you do? Mm-hmm. And do you find it particularly uncomfortable? A lot of women have complained about pumping, you know, that it's uncomfortable.
At first, I think, you know, it takes some getting used to. It's like if you put the pump on wrong or something, you know, it's definitely painful.
And so you store the milk,
you,
and then you have plenty if you need others. Yeah.
for later.
Well, look how quiet he is now. Everybody is so quiet and so well rested. Very quiet. We love this, right? This is perfect. But I guarantee you guys will pay for this tonight. That's the only problem. You know, sometimes insurance covers breast pumps or lactation consultants, so check with your provider. I want to thank so much to all of you for being here, Beverly, Stephen, and Wendy, for being here and sharing all of your knowledge about this. Okay, now I see